So, welcome to Embracing Your Upgrades, the show that presents conversation around tapping into your inner self and embracing a part of you that has been dormant. I'm your host, Coach Renee, and today we're talking about the journey of waking up from the pain with my special guest, Katrina IG. Katrina IG is a transformation coach from the UK who specializes in ways to confidently approach your 40s and beyond through mindset work, self-awareness, subconscious programming, and awakening the divine feminine, and more. Katrina went from being depressed, broke, unfulfilled, and anxious and unhappy to a happy and healthy woman who has discovered her true purpose in life. How you doing, Katrina?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, listen, like I said, I believe in an intro is important, but I want you to tell us a little info about what you do currently as a coach, and then we'll get into some questions about your journey.
Okay, so I'm a transformational coach. I've been doing this for the past 4 years now. And when I looked at what I could bring and what I could offer to people women in particular, obviously, who were struggling, I really looked at my own journey and the tools, the techniques, the strategies that I feel brought me to the place that I am here today, and really worked to incorporate that into the program that I offer to my clients. So it's not just a one size fits all with me. Obviously, mindset is so important, subconscious reprogram is so important, but I feel like there are also other elements that I needed to factor in that played a part of me and my healing journey. So things like natural health and wellness played a huge part of me, a huge part of that journey. The law of attraction, obviously I'm a massive fan of manifestation, so all of those elements were really important. So it incorporates quite a few of those aspects. It's not just traditional coaching. I like to incorporate part of my journey through mentorship and consulting as well.
Perfect. Listen, this whole thing is about bringing awareness to examples about moments in our lives that cause the transition and being aware of them. I feel like most people are going through things and they're not seeing the cues to shift. You know what
Yes.
I mean? And then when that happens, we find ourselves in cycles that continue to repeat because we haven't gotten the nudges. And no, and I feel like a lot of that is intuitive, and we're not connected to our intuition like we should be.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
my first question to you is this: what pained you before this version of yourself was born? The frustrating, the painful, the things mentally and emotionally and physically that were the catalyst to whom I'm talking to today. I like to know that because I feel like a lot of women are experiencing, like I said, a nudge and a calling for change, but are dismissing it. So, what was your
Mm.
pain? What was the catalyst to you being this person that we're speaking to right now?
Okay, so yeah, that's a really good question. I feel like I went through quite a few different things that have happened to bring me to the place that I am today. Now, I come from quite a humble background. I'm the eldest child of six, and like I said, we went through quite hard times. We were brought up in I don't know the term that you use over in the States, but in the UK we call it council housing.
Oh, projects.
Project, yeah,
They
very
call
similar
them
to
the
that.
project.
Very
Mhm.
similar to that. And I feel like when you're a child and you're growing up in that environment, people really lower their expectation of what they feel like you are going to do with your life. The
Mhm.
bar is set very low. So even from that young age, I was told, just don't expect too much from your life. Don't set your sights high. Really lower your expectations for what you're going to do. Just go and get a job in a shop or get a job in an office. Just really lower that bar. Don't dream too big. And that was really drilled into me from quite a young age. So as a part of that, I really stopped dreaming about what was possible for me. And I thought, if these people don't believe in me, how can I possibly believe in myself? I'll just go and get a job in an office or in a shop. And that was not fulfilling. Like, that did not motivate me. That did not inspire me. So even though that was my reality, I kind of still felt like I wanted more, but I just didn't have that guidance. I didn't have the vision at the time. So I done what I thought was going to make me seemed as someone who could be respected within my environment, because a lot of the time people look down on you. People look down on you if you come from that sort of background. And I wanted to be someone seen as someone who could make something of themselves. So I thought, right, okay, if I get a corporate job, if I get married, if I go and have children, I'll be seen as someone who is respected. I'll be seen as someone who has made something of themselves. Obviously, I didn't realize that I wasn't following my calling. I just thought, right, if I do the thing, I will feel validated, and I will feel like I'm good enough. And as part of that, I grinded hard. I started at the bottom. I worked my way up to the top. I was doing all of the hours, doing all of the things. And I didn't realize at the time, but I was going through burnout. I was going through a lot of burnout. My marriage at the time broke down completely. I was left a single parent. I started experiencing, heavy bouts of depression, anxiety, OCD. I was having really intrusive thoughts. And I always used to say, I don't know why this has happened to me. I'm experiencing all of these things, but I don't know why this is happening to me. And now it wasn't until I kind of got to that healing mode that I will talk about later, obviously after, that I realized I was living so far removed from how I was supposed to be living. I was living so far out of alignment from what was truly meant for me, what my heart was calling. Not to mention, my health was horrendous. I was drinking. I was binge drinking at the weekends. I feel like as a method of escape from obviously what I was experiencing in terms of my divorce, the rejection, the pain that I was going through. And I was so far focused on trying to make something of my life from to receive that outside validation that I was missing the things, like doing the things that really truly mattered, the things that were bringing me joy. And I remember I got to this point where I moved on, and it was just before I gave birth to my second child. Like fast forward a few years, and I'd obviously met my current partner. And things had really continued to spiral because I was still ignoring my intuition. I was still batting away the voices that were telling me, you need to, this is not what's meant for you. You need to really start to go inwards and start to figure out what it is that you truly want. I was still ignoring all of those things. And I really feel like I got to a place where I hit rock bottom. I remember literally just getting in my car, driving away, like my husband was calling me, I had friends calling me, and I just thought to myself, I just feel like I don't want to be here anymore. I just feel so low and so miserable. I feel like emotional talking about it because I remember that version of me then. I just thought, what is the point? What is the point? And I realized that once I finally answered the phone, I realized that, okay, something needs to change here. You cannot keep going the way that you're going. And, if you're not living a life that is making you happy, then what is the point?
What is the point?
What's the point? When I'm at a point of desperation, I realised, no, something needs to change. And it was from that moment that a split part of me, I didn't know how I was going to change or what that change was going to be, but I had the awareness that, this is not living. This is not life. Okay. Right. Something needs to change. And that was kind of like the catalyst for what would be a huge healing journey for me.
Wow. Listen, I know. I know. And this is exactly why I want to have more of these conversations so that people can know this. And I think a lot of this, just like you said, the foundation of this is our limited belief systems, the mindset that is built from childhood on. I say this all the time, like we don't realize that the things that we experience in childhood, the same way that child us is still inside of us and we grew up, those traumas and those the environment, everything that we absorbed kind of grows with us. So it's like you have a tantrum when you're a child, but when you get older you don't talk to somebody, like, you know what
Yeah,
I mean? So those
exactly.
things evolve in some sense but kind of stay stagnant because they're still immature,
Ingrained.
like, you know what I mean? They're still
Okay.
they're childlike behaviors and they go along with us, but they shape so much of who we are, and we don't realize that we're large people operating from small people's mentalities.
Definitely.
So yes, I totally understand that. But you know what, when you were talking, I realized that your idea of what you should be sounds very familiar to the quote unquote American dream, and
Yeah.
you don't live in America.
Yeah. Do you know, it really is. It's kind of ingrained in you, and that programming from a
Yeah.
young age. Okay, this is what you need to do to live a successful life. You need to
Yes.
go to school, you need to then go on to college, get a good job, work really hard, go on and get married, have children,
Yes.
work until you're, I don't know, I don't know the retirement
Sev
age.
I think ours is 75 now, I think.
Yeah, I think it's pushed up. And then that's it. Retire on a state
Yeah,
pension, and that's it.
yeah,
And that
work
is it.
40 years and
Yeah, that
now
is
you can live your life.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly
and
that.
I find that that's another thing that people are waking up from, because either
Mm,
they haven't attained it yet or they've attained it and they're like, "Well, I got it early. What else am I supposed to do?" And
that's
that's
it.
where the transformation comes from. That's where the
Yeah.
women, mostly I work with women. So that's
Mm,
where I see women are kind of like, now what? And
yeah,
because the way that we curated our lives is outdated, now we
yes,
don't have a blueprint. Now
exactly
we
that.
don't know what to do. We've lost ourselves in family, relationships and work and things like that. So how do you start over 40?
Yeah, exactly.
When I've spent the last 20, 25 years curating what I thought I wanted,
Mm,
because
that's it.
your beliefs were so capped. So
Yeah,
you didn't go any further.
that's
You
it.
didn't decide to expand and grow in another way. I mean, even down to the point of not even educating yourself after school, thinking,
Mm,
well, there's no need to learn anything else. I already got the job, I got the husband, I got the
mhm,
kids. Like, you know what I mean?
that's it.
So yes, I truly, truly understand that. So let me just ask you a question. When did you see the value in your transformation and the need to teach other women this information?
Okay, so obviously going back to the point where I felt like I hit my rock bottom, I was looking at myself and I thought, right, okay, from the outside, it looks like I have everything. I have a loving husband, I have children, I have the corporate job.
Mm,
Why am I not happy? Why am I experiencing all of these things? And like I said, it's going back to that programming and everything that's been ingrained into us from a young child to the adult that we are today. And you have to look at that and be like, okay, is this really what is making me feel successful? Because
mm,
clearly something is wrong here. If I'm feeling depressed, anxious to the point where I'm having to go to hospital, where they're putting me on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication. If it looks like from the outside I have everything, why am I feeling like this now? So for me, it really was a bit of an
mm,
unlearning. Forget everything that's been drilled into you. Forget everything that you've seen on the TV, that paints this picture of this happy family life and how we should be, how we should be, how we should be acting, what we should be happy for and grateful for. Forget all of that and really start to begin to know yourself. Okay.
mm,
And I remember in my journey, it started off from an advert that I saw on Facebook, and
mm,
this lady, she was a mindset coach, and I remember seeing this advert that came up, and it said, are you struggling with like a negative mindset? And I was like, yes, that is me, that
That's
is me.
me. That's me.
It's me. Yeah, and it felt like it was fate at the time. So I thought, right, okay, I'm going to go and sign up for this course, and it was like this online, like this 5-day free trial that she was offering, and I remember part of that. And I think it was like kind of like day 2, and I can't actually remember what the practice was, but I felt like a glimmer of hope. felt something begin to shift within me, and I was like, "Oh my god, I actually feel like there could be potential for me. I feel like this is not just my life. My life hasn't hit this peak, and that's it. Maybe I could be really happy." And I remember there was a question that she asked, and it was like, "What makes you happy?"
Mm.
And I couldn't answer that question. I
Girl.
could not answer that question. Like, I could answer what made my children happy. I could answer what made my husband happy. I could tell you what made my friends and family happy, but I couldn't tell you what made me happy. And that
Mhm.
was where I thought, right, okay, I need to figure out what makes me happy, what brings me joy, what lights me up, what I want from life. And I think it's really gaining that awareness, which is actually part of my program. It's that initial phase within what I teach, bringing awareness to what
Mhm.
you want from life, what makes you happy, what brings you joy, and really have that as the foundations on what to build upon.
Mm. Yeah, 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 yeah. And those are key things. The way the way women have lost themselves is an epidemic. And I
Mm,
don't care what nobody says. I
yeah.
do not care what nobody says. The fact that questions that seem like simple questions, like, what do you love about yourself? I
Mm,
I did a little, I like to do social experiments that no one knows about. So I just ask women questions just to see like what they'll say. And a couple of years ago, I did what do you love about yourself? And there's no immediate answer. There's
mm,
no it takes time.
yeah.
Some never answered at all.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
question that a lot of women really struggle with.
yes,
Which I
draw a
think you
complete
did.
blank.
Mm.
Draw a complete blank. So it's like, why aren't we doing something about this? Why aren't we doing something about this? But okay, so we got into what are your key three things that were a part of your transformation? And I know those three things are a part of your programming, but
Mm.
what are the three key things that sent you to have more of a glimmer and more of a big shine?
Okay, so like I said, first of all, it's bringing awareness to what I actually wanted from life and to
Mm,
start to get really crystal clear with that. And sometimes, you might not know what you actually want, but you can look at your life as it is now and get really clear on, okay, this is what I don't want. This is what I don't want to be doing anymore. I don't want to be burning myself out in a corporate job at the time, which I thought
mhm,
I wanted because I thought it would make me feel successful, and I thought it would, you know, give me respect and validation. What do I actually want? And getting that awareness and that clarity on that, I realized that I didn't want to feel burnt out anymore. I wanted to feel more energized. I wanted to feel hopeful. One of the first things that I actually began within my own practice on feeling hope and just to feel better. I wanted to feel better. I didn't know that I wanted to go on and become a coach at that point. I just wanted to feel better within myself. I wanted to feel hopeful. So one of the things that I first started doing was practicing gratitude.
mm,
Well, I know that so many people dismiss this, but for me, you've got to understand I was in a very depressed and low state. And when you're in a low state of being, it's really hard to kind of create anything positive from that
mhm,
low energetic state of being. So I needed to start to bring myself up. And it started with practicing gratitude. And at first it was difficult because I was in a very depressive state. But when you force yourself to look for the positives, you start to get that glimmer of hope. And every day it became that little bit easier to seek out positive moments and positive glimmers within my life. And when I felt like I was coming out of a place where I felt, okay, I feel better in myself, I feel more energetic, and I could feel my frequency rising. I didn't know
mhm,
the term, I didn't know that was a term, frequency,
mhm,
but my energy become more like a higher state of being. I then started to think about, okay, what do I really want? What do I want for my life? Okay, I want to feel more free. I want to do something where I feel like I'm having a positive impact in people's lives. And I then started to seek out ways that I could better myself. And that was when I decided to go and train in coaching, because I feel like, well, this lady within literally 5 days has given me a glimmer of hope for my future. I want to go and delve more into this. And that was when the whole journey of self-development for me really began. And I trained as a coach within myself. And like I said, there were certain elements within that. So it wasn't just the coaching, it was delving into the law of attraction. I kind of went down that journey, and then going on a journey of natural health, natural well-being. So these are the elements that I feel are really important, and the elements that actually make up part of what I teach. So it's empowering women to rediscover themselves, forget about the old stories, forget about the old narratives that you've been telling yourself again and again and again that have been holding you back, and to really kind of get clear on where those stories stem from. Okay, what has made you believe what you believe, and really kind of start to break them down, analyze them, challenge them. Are they really true? True. Are they really? Okay, can we really go and ask maybe 100 people, would they agree with you? And if it's not a true fact, what could we start to believe as a more empowering alternative instead, and then work from that place?
Right.
So elements of the law of attraction where, I really feel like what you focus on expands. So getting crystal clear, I used to do a technique that I called daydream journaling, and it's where I began to dream about the possibilities for what my life could look like, how I wanted to feel, and use that as the basis then to go on and build. And then once I realized that, okay, I'm getting this transformation within myself, I realized that if I felt that way that I felt, I know that I can't be the only one. And I'd have conversations with different women who maybe had come to like an end of a relationship, or went through a divorce, or maybe they had their career end and they just thought, okay, well, what am I going to do now? How am I going to pull myself out of this? And 40 is a very kind of like a pivotal moment, and it's a moment where a lot of women build up in their head that they feel like, okay, well, at this point I should have achieved this and this, or at this point it's too late for me now to go on and change aspects of my life.
Right.
It's too late for me to go and seek out a new relationship after divorce, or it's too late for me to go and seek out a new job or career or start a business, or it's too late for me to go and get into a hobby that I've really wanted to do. And I want to be able to show women that actually, no, this is a really key moment where you can take all that experience, all that wisdom, all those lessons that you've learned, that you've been through, and turn it into your power and go and create that life that you want to go and live.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the daydream journal. Is that what you called
Yes.
it? Daydream
Yeah,
journal?
daydream journaling. And that is such a powerful thing, because if you don't know what you want to achieve, how can you go and create it? So it's about getting really crystal clear. And honestly, I keep all my journals, and I feel like it's really empowering when I go back and look on those early years, the things that I wanted. And I'd use it for many different reasons. Sometimes I'd use it to kind of figure out the things that were in my head. But the daydream journaling, I feel like, is so powerful. The house that I'm living at the moment, I feel like daydream journaling was a massive part of that. So for me, someone who came from like social housing, I think that's what you call it in the States, part of creating something that I felt would be really empowering for me and would be able to provide me with the stability and the security that I really craved as a child, because obviously we lived in lots of different social houses, lots of different homes, was only becoming a homeowner and owning my own house. And I would daydream within my journal. I'd literally write about the type of house that I wanted to live in, the neighborhood that I wanted to live in, the elements that I wanted for my children, like the green space, the outdoor park. And I feel that was actually quite key in making that a reality, which it now is for me.
Now Yes, yes, yes. I do the same. I do something like that, but I call it a personal manifesto. It's a
Yes.
transcendence document. So I, when working with my clients, this is exactly what I do. I have them write out something, this document, and you don't have to, it doesn't have to be finished in that, that one sitting, but it's just curating all these aspects of what you desire. But the only rule is to not have any cap on it. Like
Yeah.
you there's no need to worry about how you're going to get it done, this and that, whatever. Like, you
Mm,
just dismiss all of that. Just dream, just
yes.
write. If you want to put on there that you want to be Captain America, be Captain America. Because whatever you decide that you want, it's not really about what you want, it's about the journey to get there.
100%, 100%. I like what you said, like, don't worry about the how, because when I started writing, obviously about becoming a homeowner within this house,
Mhm.
I was actually unemployed. I had no, I had no job at that. I had no job at that
Yep.
time.
Yep.
No
That's
job.
kind of how it goes. Yep.
Mm,
Yeah. So I'm that those are great keys. Great, 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 great keys. So I did want to ask you, um, what is the attachment? So I know that we do these things for ourselves, and
mm,
then there's, I hear this a lot. Why? I I know other women are going through this. I know other people are going through this. So now we want to help.
mm,
And I find that dealing with understanding the unity that is us,
mm.
that we're all connected, whether we want to believe it or not,
Yeah,
we're all breathing the same air. We're all breathing, drinking the same water that's been, clean, processed, chemical, or whatever. But this togetherness and this feeling of wanting to help other people is very strong. And this is
yeah,
how I know for a fact, and I'm going to ask you something about the divine feminine, but this is
mm,
how I know that this awakening is happening, because there's a big shift over the past like about 5 years of, now there's been many micro shifts of this energy coming in. Some
yeah,
people say it started in like 1945, but I get a clear view of it during the civil rights movement, because people became very vocal about how we don't want this. We don't
mm,
want that. And to me, I feel like those are moments where you can see this energy of togetherness and equality, and those types of things coming about. So I would like to know, is your pa- passion for this spiritually led? Do you feel, what do you feel from doing this? Like, what do you feel, other than just, I think it's deeper than just, I just want to help, help
yeah,
women. What does that do for you deeply?
yeah. That's a really great question, and I do feel like as women, we have been kind of, well, through my upbringing, it's like we've been kind of like pitted against each other,
Mm,
and we've been pulled apart from each other. And this whole concept of community has been broken down. And that's not how we should be living. We should be this union, this connection, this community that literally works together to build one another up. And that's not how that's not how it is. But I do feel like you're right, like there is a shift, and we are recognizing that it's so important, like we are one. And I just have this bigger vision that if we can come together spiritually
mhm,
and emotionally and begin to work together like we were always intended to, we can operate from a much more empowered place. I feel like a lot of women, I can't kind of like look at it like the wounded feminine, look at
mm,
other women as threats,
mhm,
as competition, as people to kind of, you know, look down on, and we kind of like, we judge, and it shouldn't be that way. It really
Mm-mm.
shouldn't.
I
And
think we've taken on, you know, in this day and age in social media, there's so many buzzwords, but you have to use those words to kind of explain where you're
right,
where you're coming from. But I think we've all taken on this patriarchal expression. For many generations, we've been born and bred in this excessive masculine idea of how to
Mhm.
live, even
Yeah,
in feminine form. Like
yeah,
women don't know how to be women, if that makes sense. And
yes,
I'm
no, it
not talking
absolutely
about,
does.
dainty, getting my hair done. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm
Mm.
talking about, we now operate in the same space of how masculine is threatened by us. So
Yeah.
we now are threatened by ourselves and
Mhm.
other women. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do feel that, but I feel there is so much happening right before our eyes. And I, like we were talking about earlier, tapping back into your intuition and
Yes.
listening to those promptings is going
Mm.
to get us further than we could ever imagine, because the
100%.
potential has always been here. We've
Mm.
just been distracted.
Yes, there's so much distraction around
Yes.
us everywhere, with social media, with what we see in society, all of this outside
Mhm.
noise that's just there. But when you quiet everything down, it's all within you. And I say this
Yeah.
to my clients, it's within you. It's been there all along, but you were just too distracted looking at what she's doing, looking what you're being told, looking what you're being fed, looking at what you're being programmed, to
Mhm.
really listen to yourself.
Yeah. It's a very big feat to choose you,
Yeah.
because like we keep saying, everybody who is raised has to, you to survive in your environment, down to a micro and a macrocosm, like wherever you're brought up, they teach you how to assimilate to be a human, basically. Like they
Mhm.
assimilate you to earthly life, you know what I mean? Like, okay, you're here now, you need to go to sleep at this time, you need to eat at this time, you need to do this, you need to do that.
Yeah.
But those environments don't create a space of real growth. They
Mm,
actually disempower us. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And I get
100%.
it. You know, when you raise a kid, they got to listen to you. You know, there's a balance. There's
I
a
know.
balance that most people don't know how to integrate into rearing a child.
Yeah.
So we grow up with all of these ideas and limiting belief systems and all of these things. And if no one tells you that you're supposed to now create your own way,
Mm,
instead you're looking for the husband, you're looking for the job, you're looking for, you know what I mean? So at those times where it's time for you to go off and be you, there's no self-development.
no, and you're looking around at everybody else for the answers.
Right.
Tell me what
Right.
to do.
Right.
Tell me what
And
to
then
do.
you realize, oh, they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
They didn't know what they were doing. So
Yeah.
now I'm really out here like, hello.
Mm,
Is
exactly.
anybody gonna help me like
Yeah,
figure this out? And
exactly.
then that's when it happens. You have to start doing what they said you shouldn't do, as
Yeah,
in talking to yourself and
exactly.
asking yourself questions and waiting for it to arise. And one of the biggest things about the divine feminine is paying attention to the signs
Yeah.
that are
'Cause they're
only
there.
for you.
Exactly, they're there. Like, I feel like if you listen to yourself, you're going to get a sign from yourself, be that a feeling, be that an emotion, be that maybe like a pain in your body, it
Mhm.
could be in your
Yes.
gut, it could be, you know, it could be an opening within your heart space, and that will tell you whether or not something is meant for you. Like they always
Mhm.
say, do not ignore your gut, but so often we push past that feeling and we
Mhm.
do the thing anyway.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
we date the person even though our gut is screaming at us, "This is not the right person for you. Do not go there," but you push through
Yeah.
it. "Oh, you know, it's okay. I'll just go and do it anyway," because like you said, we're so desperate to kind of create what we feel like our life should look like. We
Mm.
ignore all of those those internal feelings, those nudges, those guides, we just ignore them.
Mm-hmm. And
We
I
find
think that,
ourselves in a space where, you know, we are experiencing the depression, the anxiety, or we have a relationship breakdown because we're not being treated the way that we should be treated. And then
right.
we're like, okay, why have those things happened? But it's because we've ignored what our own body has been trying to tell us.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's just because schools, they
Mm,
don't teach you about this language.
no.
This is a special language. This is a special language. So the absence of that education is missing. And I think, when we do coaching, that is bringing that is teaching a new language
Yes.
to pay attention. Awareness is a language. It is the
Mm,
language that, you know, more people should be more people should be fluent in. You know what I mean? So, okay,
definitely.
so we're already at 35 and I don't want to keep you too long,
No
okay? So,
problem.
I had two more questions. And one was the other one was your that there's a quote on your website that says, "I truly believe that pain can be our biggest power and connect us to our purpose." I
Mm,
love that. And I love it because we tend to run from pain.
yeah. It's human nature to suppress pain. We don't want to
Yes.
feel it.
Yes, yes, yes. And suppresses the word. Suppresses
Mm,
the word because that's exactly a part of the other question when it comes to the divine feminine and how it's suppression upon the people. So
mm.
when you wrote that, kind of unpack that for me just a little bit.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, I do truly believe that we can take our pain and turn it into our power. Okay, so the first thing is bringing an awareness. You have to be aware of what it is that you're feeling. There is no pushing this down, like, because if you can't feel your pain, it's going to go down and it's going to be stuck. And we do not want to have our pain stuck within us. So it's you need to look at what that pain is telling you. Okay, what it is, what are you feeling? Okay, what is it trying to teach you? What can you learn from that pain? Is it that you've been avoiding a certain behavior and it's going to keep coming around and around to teach you, I don't know, say for example, you are in a relationship and you are getting cheated on, but you ignore that and you're like, you know, I'm just gonna stay within this relationship, and you'll keep experiencing that. So it's looking at, okay, what is it trying to tell me? Okay, and then look at, how do I want to feel instead? How do I want to feel instead? And get really kind of like clear on what it is that you want, what it is that you need, and then asking yourself, how can I move forward from that? But I feel like one of the first things that you need to do is actually allow yourself to feel that pain. There's no
Mhm.
going around it, there's no going under it, there's no going over it. And you have to allow yourself to feel that pain within your body and begin to work through that. And a lot of us, like, we don't want to feel that hurt, we don't want to feel that pain. But I always say, okay, you need to release. It has to be released from the body. So you have to
Mhm.
feel it, and then you have to acknowledge it, and then you have to release it, whether that be through crying, whether that be through journaling, whether that be through movement. You know, get it out of your body. And then get to a point of looking at how you want to feel instead. So for me, I didn't want to feel anxious and depressed. I didn't want to feel trapped in this cycle of trying to achieve something for that external validation. So I had to look at, okay, how do I want to feel instead? What is it that I truly want? And then beginning to build a life and create and get really clear on what it is that I wanted instead, and just really work from that place. And then also looking at forgiveness, whether that be forgiving yourself. Like
Mhm.
I said, I went through a divorce as well, and that was a really, really challenging and really tough time. And for a lot of the time, I used my pain as a kind of like a badge of honor. I used that pain to play kind of like a victim.
Mhm.
And I had to ask myself, okay, what is staying in this victim mode doing for you? Is that helping you move forward with your life? No. What do you want to achieve from staying in this victim mode? And I had to kind of get really honest with myself and be like, okay, I do not want to stay this. I don't want to stay in this place. Playing the victim and holding on to that pain is keeping me in a really low state of being. It's stopping me from moving forward with my life. It's keeping me like sad and depressed, and I'm feeling like really bitter, and it's keeping me angry. So I had to really get clear on, okay, I know I don't want to feel like this anymore. And as
Mm-hmm.
part of that was, you know, you might not be able to forget, but in order to personally move forward, I had to forgive. I had to forgive for myself, for my own part of my own healing. And I knew that, okay, this is how I'm feeling now. I'm feeling in pain. I'm feeling betrayed. I'm feeling hurt. But I want to feel happy. I want to feel empowered. And I want to feel like I'll be able to move on and truly love again. And I knew that in order to go from A to B, I needed to release that. I needed to shed that. And I could look for the love that I was missing from that broken down marriage. I could look for that within myself. I could seek that love out from other people, like my parents, like my friends, like my family, in a healthy way. Okay, I feel like people so often want to suppress that pain, and they might look to mask it and cover it through maybe like drugs or alcohol or self-sabotaging behaviors, maybe getting into other toxic relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you have to get really clear on, how can I deal with this in a healthy way, and how I want to move forward. And you know, you say, there's a saying that, you know, once you hit rock bottom, the only way is up. And
Mm-hmm.
look at that pain, and look at that place that you find yourself in, as a way to rebuild, but to rebuild better, to rebuild stronger, because clearly the old way wasn't working. You may want to think that it was, but actually, if I'm really honest with myself, something wasn't right. Clearly
Mm-hmm.
wasn't right. And everyone used to say, you know, everything happens for a reason, you know, things will turn out better. And at the time, you're like, no, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. You don't know. You don't know what I'm feeling. You don't know. But actually, it was true.
Yeah.
And it really was a way for me to, you know, take that rejection, take that pain, and use it as a new path, a new redirection for me to rebuild a better and a stronger life that was truly meant for me. And that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what's happened at every single point where I feel like I've felt a pain, or I've been through a certain experience, whether it be the divorce, whether it be the anxiety, depression, that I could take that pain and be like, right, what can I learn from this? Like I said to
Mm-hmm.
you, I always used to look back on my anxiety, depression, and be like, I don't know why this has happened to me. But actually, when I got really crystal clear, I could see, like, okay, you felt that anxiety, depression because you were forcing yourself to live a life that wasn't aligned for you. You were
Mm-hmm.
forcing yourself to be a certain person that you felt would bring respect and external validation. You were forcing yourself to live a life that wasn't actually filling you up, but you were trying to do so you could get that external validation and approval from others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. So, and then the other question was, I saw on your podcast that you had an episode about the divine feminine, but I
Mhm.
didn't listen to it because I wanted to ask you a question about it. So I didn't want to pre-know
Mm,
your concept of it.
mm.
Now, I know we're going into almost 45 minutes. So could you quickly kind of tell me what your idea of the divine feminine is, or your
Yeah.
concept of that?
Yeah. So basically, as someone who obviously was a single parent for a while, I really feel like I was trying to control. I was trying to control a lot of elements of my life, because I feel like, right, okay, if I can control certain aspects of my life, I won't have to go through that pain. I won't have to go through that hardship. If I can control part of my life, I can go on and make sure that, you know, I'm going to live a life that's good and that's happy and that healthy, and that no one can ever hurt me again. But
Mhm.
actually, through that control, I was doing the opposite. So divine feminine to me is releasing that control, is tapping within my intuition, is kind of letting go of that false, that contrived, that controlling energy, and really begin to listen to myself and lead from that space, rather than that contrive, that control, that push, and just, yeah, tap into that inner knowing that is within me and that's always been there.
That flow.
That
That
flow.
flow.
100%. 100%.
Okay, so the last one was, what is your song that shifts your energy? Because I
Okay.
think sometimes we think, when we hear all of this, self-development and all of this work that you have to do on yourself, it just seems like, oh, I
A
don't want
lot.
to I don't want to do
Yeah.
all of that. But I think there are small things that we can do quickly that
Yeah.
can shift your
Yes.
mindset. There's an example of, showing people like, yeah, there's work, but there's also
Mm.
quick little tips and
It's
tricks that you can do.
100%. A
So,
100%.
so what's your song?
100%. So, do you know what? I don't have a song per se.
Mhm.
I love music. Music is a great way to shift energy. It really is. I mean, I'll put on a bit of Whitney. I'll put on some old school 90s R&B, and I'm in my
Mhm.
flow, in my vibe. I can feel it raising my energy. But one quick thing that I feel like everybody can do, no matter who you are and what state you're in at the moment, in order to shift yourself from a low vibration to a high vibration, to move that stagnant energy, is movement.
Mm.
Honestly, just getting outside in daylight, in real daylight. I mean, if you can get out in nature, even better. But even if you can't, just get outside on the street and move your body. When you're sitting still, like I said, that energy is everything. Energy is
Mhm.
within us. And when you're sitting still, you're holding on to that stagnant energy. Do you know what? When dogs kind of, you'll see a dog and you'll see it shaking, shaking, shaking. It's
Yeah.
a way that they release that energy. It has to be moved. You have to allow it to pass through your body. You can't do that sitting still. So even if you can get out 5-10 minutes, go for a walk, even better, put your earpods in, listen to a podcast, listen to some upbeat music. After 10 minutes, you will feel a definite shift. And this is
Yeah.
my go-to. Every single day without fail, as soon as I've dropped the kids off, I do a walk, I do an extended walk, I'm out in daylight, I've got my earphones in, and I do that every single day without fail, because I know that it raises my vibration, it puts me in a more positive state, and then I can go on and do my day. So that is the one
Okay.
thing that I will definitely recommend to anybody. Just get rid of that,
Good.
move that energy.
Great, great, great. So that is it. Thank you so much for blessing us with your insight and opening up about your journey. Please tell the folks where they can find you and connect. I'm going to put it in the description box when I post the video, but if you want to say your Instagram or maybe your website or anything like that, please do.
Thank you so much. So you can find me on Instagram, which is katrina.sabourin. Definitely check out the spelling on that, because it's not a common name. I'm on Facebook as well, Katrina Sabourin. I have my own podcast, the Empowerment Project podcast. But thank you so much for having me. Honestly, I've really, really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. So, thank you all for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for weekly episodes about real women talking about embracing their upgrades and thriving through transitions, and some who have decided to help other women do the same. It's a movement, y'all. If you need a jump start remembering who you are, click the link in the description for my purple print roadmap to finding me again and joining our email list to be updated on upcoming episodes and more. Thumbs up the video, and I will see you guys next week.